Ladies and gentlemen, this is episode 114 of the You, Me, and BTC podcast. So glad to have you as every week. We got a fun show planned. I don't even know where it's going to go, which has kind of been happening a lot lately, but that just makes it all the more fun. So I am Daniel Brown, and I'm here with
Tim Baker
and John Stuart.
And our super duper amazingly special guest today is Miss Michele Seven, also known as M7 or the Bitcoin Belle, or even Sassy Liberty Girl, I guess. I don't know, she's a little bit of everything. Michele, thanks for being here today.
Wow, that introduction was quite something. You can do my eulogy or whatever when I die.
I'm in.
I have like 7 as known as.
My face is red and I'm actually blushing here. So thanks for having me. I appreciate it.
Yeah. So, hey, before we get into some of this new stuff, I should ask, it's been, I want to say about a year. It's been a long time since we had you. And I mean, you're doing all kinds of stuff.
You've never had me, Daniel. Come on now.
He likes to talk.
Starting rumors just because we were talking about talk before anyone got on the radio doesn't mean you need to insinuate that none of you boys have had me.
Almost got away with that. Yeah. Yes. So, hey, what have you been up to for the past year or so? I mean, like I said, you do all kinds of stuff all the time. You're a Bitcoin activist and a liberty activist and a radio host and now an author and everything. What have you been up to lately?
Well, most recently, I started a really exciting adventure that I have been kind of layering. You know, I say that as opposed to planning because I didn't have a goal in mind that I wanted to work toward, but rather things that were happening in my life that just layered and met each other. I've traveled all over the country with my kids while I was homeschooling them, and so I've lived in like 8 states or something between New Hampshire to California. So I wanted to go back and see those places and visit them now that my kids have grown and kind of just revisit that because some places we weren't but for more than a year. But we met people and we became part of the community. So that was something that I wanted to do. I wanted to, I really like the gals that I was involved with Bitcoin GNO, which was something that Pua Pyland and I started a couple years ago while she was still active on Twitter as the Bitcoin wife. And that was, an online chat that we had with women from, 4 continents. There were 130 women that got into it a couple years ago, but there were really only about 30 who were involved. And I'd say of that 30, there were 20 who were consistently involved. And then there were about 12 who every week we were talking to each other and we'd have cocktails and visit and for a couple hours, and it was really fun. And although nothing really came of it in the US, Rianne Lewis and Anna Kurth and Magdalena, who's known as Bitcoin Mama, she's they're in England and Berlin, and they started this London Women in Bitcoin that was an offshoot of the Bitcoin GNO. And those women still meet and have been at least every month. And every single month there are more women that come, and they've taught them how to make paper wallets, how to use a Trezor, they're learning how to code. They've pulled the women in and really have done something with that. And, so that's exciting. So anyway, I wanted to go kind of visit the gals. And then I think I told you all how, I don't have any income and how and why that is and why I choose to live, below the poverty line. I've never paid for a bullet or a bomb or a drone or a tank
that
ever.
Is definitely good stuff.
Yeah, not one. And so, but in order to do that now at this point, in order to avoid a tax, implication and legally, avoid paying into that system. I have to live. So right now, I've chosen to take I sold something, and, I'm planning for the next 2 years at the most, but at least 8 months, to be traveling in a 7x14 trailer being hauled by a truck that, I am calling, my cozy castle. And, I'm living on $500 a month. And which, I mean, to give context, like 15 years ago, I lived on 50,000 a month.
Dang.
So, $500 didn't even pay for us going out for me
So
to go out
since
to dinner
you're not
with
doing
friends.
that anymore, can I take your spot there in that place?
Oh, yeah, no, I gave up that life a long time ago. But the thing is, like, some people go, oh, well, that'd be hard to do. And it's like, well, yeah, I guess it depends on what you're used to, but I've been really disciplined the last 15 years on, running my household budget and my life and stuff. So
yeah. What's that like? I mean, what do you have to do?
Well, I just started, I weaned myself for one thing in a big way. So for the last few years, I've been living on like, $3,500 a month. And that was fine. That rent and insurance, and people go, well, that's okay. Sure. It's okay. It's great when you're in your 20s, but I've owned homes in several places in the world. I'm used to getting, ski passes and having horses to ride, and, a life that I'd worked really hard to have. And, so in any case, I spent a couple years doing that, knowing that at some point I was probably going to have to make this choice to live, below the poverty line. And fortunately, with Bitcoin, I can supplement with that. But really what I'm focusing on is what I call beyond Bitcoin. And that is, kind of the theme of this trip I'm doing, which is, the theme's rather long, but it's kindness to kindness, trading and bartering value for value. So, like right now, I'm staying in a family's house, and, I'm helping build a raised bed vegetable garden and a chicken coop, and helping with twin girls. And I cook dinner every night, and, help with it's a single dad, and he's like kind of a man's man. And, so things like, setting up a sewing room for the girls. He just wasn't sure how to do that and stuff. So in any case, I've been, filling in, doing those kinds of things. And in exchange, he's helping teach me how to weld, carpentry, electrical work, to, convert this 7x14 trailer. Yeah, it's really awesome. And then I have some, I'm going out to a shooting range. I don't know if you guys have seen my photos on Twitter, but, I've been doing a lot of shooting, and the owner of a gun range is going to help me with some things, and in exchange I'm going to be doing some work for him. But and there are things that I wouldn't be able to do. Like, he's got a 338 Lapua. I don't know if you know what kind of gun that is, but it's like firing a rocket. And when am I ever going to have a chance to do that? And, I've never been a hunter or anything. So it's an experience, and I'm excited. So as I'm traveling around, people are so gung ho about, making money and getting stuff. And, I have had a lot of money, and I've had a lot of stuff. And there's a real trap there. And I think that, especially at this point, when you're looking at the milieu worldwide, even, that, and the millennial age kids too, have caught on to this, is that, there's more to life than stuff.
Oh man. Oh yeah.
And we're seeing how.
Are you sure about that?
Well, we're seeing how the pursuit of the dollar has really infected the Bitcoin realm with a lot of toxicity. So that's what I'm doing now. And like, we can get onto that more, but I do want to make mention, since we did talk a year ago and discussed at length the Silk Road trial, and the
Oh yeah.
abuse of power by Judge Catherine Forrest against, Ross Ulbricht. And, it's been a year. And since we talked, he was sentenced and he got, 2 consecutive life sentences and, I mean, like all charges, including the kingpin charges. And subsequently we found out that a couple of FBI agents were, I mean, I'm sure you guys have already talked about all this and your listeners know what it is, but, now there's an art piece that's circulating around Twitter anyway, where you can buy tiles to reveal the photo what is behind the tile, and it's an art piece that Ross did, and so that's a neat. So he's fundraising, like he's offering something of value besides just being a sacrificial lamb, who everyone has forgotten.
He's selling it for what?
You can go on and you can go to, freeross.org and you can see how, maybe you could put the link in the show notes.
Oh yeah. I absolutely will. I did see that a couple times on Twitter, and if we weren't doing the interview, that could have easily been a topic of a whole segment or something, because it's so awesome. I mean, you can correct me if I'm wrong, but it's a piece of art that he did. And you can pay, I'm assuming, Bitcoin to reveal, it's like divided into a grid, and you can pay Bitcoin to reveal bits of this grid. And I guess the idea is hopefully it'll all be revealed.
Not only that, but you can include a message.
Oh yeah, that's
great. You can attach a message to it. Yeah, it's really, I love it. I'm so happy for Ross for coming up with this, because, he wants to be engaged, and he's creative, and he's smart, and he's entrepreneurial, and he's a libertarian, anarcho-capitalist. And so he's like, even from a jail cell where he has nothing to look forward to. Nothing. When you're in jail, there is no looking forward, because the only thing that you ever look forward to if you're imprisoned is getting out. But he's never going to get out.
Right. Yeah, it's got to be tough. And I mean, I guess I know they're working on an appeal, and I obviously hope it comes through and they figure some stuff out. But yeah, I completely agree. It's got to be tough.
The money that's going to, is that going to the Free Ross organization?
Oh, he's putting everything that he makes, definitely. It's not going to his commissary even. I mean, yeah, it's all going to his the appeal for his defense.
No, Tim, he's going to use it. Tim, he's going to use it to buy a yacht when he gets out of prison.
Well, I mean, I was thinking that, or just like a lot of hookers and blow, but anyway. So they're going forth the appeal now. Do you have anything new about that? Like any...
Lynn Ulbricht tweets about it, and she's really good at keeping people in the loop about what's going on, and it really changes every day. And so I haven't really looked into what's going on for I think 2 weeks now, and the last was, we keep hearing stuff about the FBI. Actually, I think it was yesterday. I saw and read something where there's more revealed about the corruption of the FBI involved in the Silk Road. Now, I can say that to some people, and they'd say, "Oh yeah, big surprise, haha." Well, that's supposed to be a big fucking surprise. It's supposed to be a surprise that the federal agents who are employed with the, forced donations because IRS income tax is voluntary. So your forced donations go to support a crooked regime that is paid to hurt you and to take your property. And the punishment that the 2 men received who have already been tried and convicted, I think one got 2 years and the other got 3 years or something. Nothing compared to that. Yeah. And they're in a protective prison because, they're FBI agents and
they're
get killed.
The government's special boys.
Yeah.
But I mean, I don't think you can really say you can't expect that, but I mean, we wish we could. I think some people are still surprised by that. At least that's the way the media put it out, as it was a surprise thing.
Yeah, I mean that's
What
like
was the surprise?
That the DEA Mark.
Yeah.
What was his name?
Mark Force, Karl Mark Force,
Mark Force.
Mm-hmm.
the fourth.
And then the FBI guy had used what they were doing, had used their position and their connections to steal money instead of just arresting people and kidnapping them.
About I guess it was about 8 months ago, this man moved in. I kept a room at my daughter's apartment in New Jersey. And so I was there, off and on, but I had never seen this gentleman, and he looked at me like he knew me, and I'm friendly and pretty approachable, and I said, "Hi," and he said, "Hey, I think I know you." And I said, "Oh," and he's probably in his early 50s, dark chocolate dude, and I said, "Oh," and he said, "Yeah." He goes, "You're the lady that knows about Bitcoin." And that was not so surprising because everywhere I go, I talk to people about Bitcoin. So, I walk into restaurants like, "Oh, here's Bitcoin," so, that wasn't such a surprise, except for I said, "Oh, how did you hear?" And he goes, "Oh, I've just heard it around somewhere." So that was odd because I'd never met him before. And, it turns out he is a police detective. And he asked if he could talk to me sometime about Bitcoin. And I said, sure. And he wanted to come to my apartment. And I said, no. And he goes, "You don't want to invite me in for a drink?" I said, no. And he goes, "Why not?" I'm like, "Well, because you're a cop, dude." No. So we talked out in the hall, and I went ahead and indulged him. But it was really obvious within about 10 seconds that what he was wanting to know is how to commit crimes and get paid in Bitcoin.
Dang. That's pretty crazy.
Either that or he works for internal affairs and was trying to figure out someone there, or possibly to see, because the way the questions were worded, it wasn't as though he thought that I knew how to do it, but he was really, whether he was acting as though he was ignorant, or he was in fact ignorant. He thought that you could, or he said that you could, use Bitcoin really easily to, sell stolen computers that had fallen off trucks. And I'm like, no, not really. If I was going to sell,
just use cash.
Right. If I was going to sell stolen merchandise,
A lot
I'd use
easier.
some of those bills that they print up in New Jersey, but I said, that's not traceable. Whereas Bitcoin is. And he's like, "Wait, what?" And he was really upset. And he goes, "What do you mean it's traceable?" I said, "Well, it's, it's pseudo anonymous."
Right.
Right. And so that was a strange thing. And I was on Match.com because I can't get a date to save my life. And I got asked out. I matched with these 3 different men over the course of about 6 months. And I was like, wow. And I was really excited and everything. And all 3 of them, 2 of them worked for the FBI and 1 of them worked for, Department of Homeland Security.
Oh.
What are the odds?
Got eyes on you.
I fucked one of them, but I was so horny. I just couldn't take it anymore. I'm like, that's all. I just have to.
You fucked one of them.
I did, yeah.
Them.
But, yeah. Well, but the funny thing is, 2 of them, said to me, not the Department of Homeland Security dude, but the FBI agents, both said to me something really interesting, kind of off, like it was timed strangely in the conversation, but they essentially both said that, or each said that I was harmless. Like, well, that's good that you think that. But no, it was just a really weird thing. So I don't know. My daughter was actually the one that said, "Mom, are you seeing a pattern here?"
Yeah, it's crazy. I mean, we hear about this rogue stuff, these rogue cops and everything all the time. And I mean, I've never experienced it that close, but yeah, I mean, I guess they must be everywhere. And when when you're somewhat well known like yourself, I mean, I guess that's who they kind of try to glean some information from.
And, the Ashley Madison, is that how Ashley Madison?
Oh, yeah, that
that's
dating site.
Yeah. That hack occurred, shortly after my attempt at dating. And, so, and just before that happened, I was saying, oh, come on. No one hacked my match.com. Who cares? Da, 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 da. And then, Ashley Madison occurred, and, stranger things have certainly happened, but it's, and then, now we've got the iPhone, situation. And, I think that people really need to take a look at where our world is going and rise up a bit.
Are you tired of Bitcoin dice and ready for something different? Try LuckyBit, the original falling coin game at luckybee.it. It's the most exciting Bitcoin game on the web. You can bet on 5 different payout lines and win up to 999 times your bet. You can even use their faucet to get some free Bitcoin. Dice is boring. Play different at LuckyBit. Check it out at luckybee.it. Hey, Michele, one thing we got to get to is this book, because you mentioned it last when you were last on the show.
I revealed it. That's when I revealed it.
Yeah,
that I was doing this, and I did so because I'm like, okay, I've got to put it out there. It's going to force me to have to finish it because I can't, I can't say I'm going to do something and then not do it.
Oh yeah, I know how that is. That's the only reason this show comes out every Thursday is because apparently I say I'm going to do it, and I don't know.
I've never heard you say you're going to do it.
So you always say next week, I think.
That's true. That's true. You're right. Actually,
Does he
that's
say
exactly
see you
right.
next week?
That's the last words of every show is we'll see you next Thursday.
That is definitely not the last words because you put in your stupid raps a few times.
Okay. All right.
So mean.
Yeah. I have to put up with this every week, Michele.
Every goddamn week.
Oh, yeah. So, hey, Michele, tell us about this book some more. What is it? Where's it at right now? And what are you thinking for the future? I mean, how much longer and what do you want to do with it?
Well, thanks for asking. It came as a result of my daughter challenging me a year ago last November, and this, I think it's called Nano. It's the National Novel Writing Contest or something. And you have a month to write 40,000 words. And, I've been a writer, I guess, kind of forever, but I've never really published anything. I put up blog posts. So in any case, I think you need to write about what you know, or at least I do. So I wanted to write about Hacker Girl who, and social engineering and crypto, but at the same time discuss some or share, talk about some, important and relevant things that I've seen during my life that I don't think people are really aware of of it happening. For example, I think this took place in Pennsylvania, actually. The judge who was found guilty of sending so-called juvenile delinquents to these paid for, rehabilitation camps. Do you guys remember hearing about that? You might, it's like, I think 10 years ago. So
I can't say I remember it, but Tim and John sound terrible now. They're from Pennsylvania. That's disgusting, Tim and John. How could you be a part of that?
You are also from Pennsylvania.
Yeah, not anymore.
Get out of you just because you find stupid little plane, Daniel.
I can't say that I was even conscious enough to know about things like that happening when I was 12 years old, or whenever that was.
Well, when I was 12 years old, I was unfortunately very aware of those things happening. So I think, although the novel is not autobiographical, I definitely, share personal things that either happened to me or people I know, and use those to shape the characters in the story. But it is the story of this young girl named Fallon, who is traveling across the country by train to go to Harvard, where she's going to be going to school. She's from Oregon, and she had delayed going to school by a year because her mother had died tragically in a car accident, and she didn't want to leave her dad because she was an only child. And so she'd stayed an extra year and was, 19, very mature, and had solid life and good friends and family around her. And she had this really safe upbringing. And she gets on a train and shortly discovers that there was more to her mom than she was ever clued in on. And there is so this is a mystery thriller, and so her external motivation is to get to school, and she's 2 weeks travel and get to Harvard a week or something. But her internal motivator is she is interested in learning about these 21 sculptures that her mom made over the course of her life. And she knew of 20 of them, as did her father. But her mom, who'd always, said that the 21 sculptures were going to be her contribution. And each one has a cryptographical message in it and an element of fun and fairy tale like play. And the mother died before she finished her 21st sculpture. So thought Fallon and her father. And she discovers while on this trip out east that the 21st sculpture was in fact created. And it's, and we learn a lot about crypto, that cryptocurrency. And
that's not a spoiler, is it? That does that 21st one show up early enough?
No, but I mean, I think that that's, I don't think that that's a spoiler, in that you still have to get there.
That's okay. That's mean? True. That is true.
It's just incentive, yeah. Daniel.
Yeah. So that's been really fun. And, I've gotten to include, some of the characters that I've met along the way, and, kind of, I don't know that other people would recognize them, but there's a little bit about the history of how Silk Road was created and why.
Man. Nice.
Yeah. So it's fun. I mean, it's a fictional, this is all fictional, right? So this is, Nathaniel Popper is doing his, Bitcoin digital gold or whatever, and doxing, incorrectly, Nick Szabo, and someone else is writing about, all these men are writing these nonfiction, these are the facts as I know them, and I'm going to state them, so they must be true. And I'm like, no, let's just have fun, and I'll write something fictional that,
I'm completely okay with that. Fiction.
Fanciful.
We're glad you're okay with it, Daniel.
You know what, Tim, fiction is cool. Okay, you got a problem with that? I'm sorry, your life sucks.
Poor Eeyore.
Oh, so yeah, I guess it sounds like there's a lot of crypto in this book. Is that part of the idea behind it? Is just to kind of have some fun fictional ideas with crypto involved and share some of that stuff?
I guess I'd say more, it's like, I'm not a technical writer. I don't have a background in tech or, that sort of thing. So this isn't going to be as, who wrote Snow? Oh gosh. It's a really famous book amongst the computer nerd people, but I can't think of what it's called. But anyway, Snow something or another. I'll remember.
Okay.
In any case, it's certainly not technical in any way. It's more like I don't know. We all have lives, right? We have lives away from our jobs where we have favorite kinds of food and we do sports or I don't know. So this is more like the story of the people that would be involved with crypto and people seem to forget that Bitcoin is a response to economic tyranny, right?
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
Worldwide economic tyranny. And, people like Blythe Masters, who is, Digital Asset Holdings, and, is self-titled, Mrs. Blockchain with her, legs spread and her standing like a Playboy hottie from the 60s on the cover of Bloomberg magazine. She just raised $51 million for her business.
Oh man.
51. And she won the last, auction of, Silk Road Bitcoin. And so after spending about at least 3 weeks hardcore, but 2 months really, being on all kinds of, talk shows and things about how it's not about Bitcoin, it's about the blockchain, it's about the blockchain, it's about the blockchain. She was the one that led that campaign. And, the blockchain or price of Bitcoin, it was around the 200s maybe. And that, maybe 300. And that is when the third, and final auction for the Silk Road Bitcoin was held. And she won it. I think it was, 14 million, 40 million. I don't know. There was a 4 in it. There was a million, whatever. But anyway, so after bad mouthing Bitcoin, the currency, she went and bought it up. She's a lion. She's awful. I watched Willy Wonka.
Yeah, Tim's the only one that's allowed to say that on this show, so we have to bleep it when you say it.
I'm the girl.
Doesn't matter. I already claimed it like a while ago.
It's more for
I didn't claim
effect.
it. They forced it upon me.
It's just because Tim's more of a bitch than anyone. So
fuck off.
She reminds me of Faruka from Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory. You guys remember her, the one in the red dress that I want it now, Daddy. I want a party. Anyway, so Blythe Masters kind of reminds me of her, and I lost my train of thought.
Sorry. Tim's bitchiness gets in the way of everything.
Yeah, it just jumps in the front of your idiocy whenever you can't keep a podcast together, Daniel.
Oh, can we do a little vocabulary lesson?
Oh, let's do it.
That would help probably.
So you know how when people say, "Oh, you're such a pussy," and people say, "Oh, and they think that word pussy is like the same as like the pussy from a vagina, right? It's not. The word calling someone pussy comes from the word pusillanimous.
Oh, that word. So I know what that means. No, I don't.
If you suffer from pusillanimity, you're pussy. So what that means, it's beyond timid. It's
beyond timid.
Oh, wow. How'd you figure that one out, Daniel? So I heard the name. Oh, I can do this.
Hey, it's a step above what he normally comes up with. I'll give him that.
It really is. But,
So pusillanimity and pusillanimous. I think those are really two great words. But, to tell someone, you're pusillanimous, I think is even more insidious than just claim. A pussy, a vagina is like tough, and our pussies, they can take a pounding and bounce right back. But I mean, if you're going to call someone weak and pathetic, call them a penis, because those things are flaccid most of the time anyway, and they can't take any abuse whatsoever. So
they tend to snap.
Goodness. Yeah. What do you mean they tend to snap, Tim?
What
happens to your penis?
No, you've never heard
might
stories
have
about
a bend.
Oh, I know I'm sure it's possible,
There's a lot of
but
people
they
with
tend
fucked up
to.
dicks, Daniel.
Tim, you said they tend to. Does that happen to you like every other night?
Yeah. I have like the Tourette's, and my hand just jerks like to the side a little bit.
Oh my goodness!
So
All right.
unacceptable. So rude.
Oh, okay. All right. So slightly back on track. Michelle,
Slightly.
what's do you have like an ETA on this book? I think you said you're about halfway done. Do you know when it might be available? Are you going to sell it? Are you going to give it away? What's coming up for this book?
Well, I am committed to not, at this point, I'm, and have been for a very long time. So I think I can speak for the future. I'm pretty committed to not being involved in the system. So state system. So I really I don't have a bank account. I'm homeless and I don't have a bank account. So what I'd really like to do is publish it to the blockchain, right? To show my proof of creation on that rather than get a copyright. That's what I want to do. I really need someone to hold my hand, not send me a note on Twitter, but like hold my hand, just like I would do with someone if I was teaching them and it was their first time and they didn't know what they were doing. And, help me decide, do I publish it each chapter on the blockchain? Do I publish it as a whole? There's just so much. And like, everything from like Open Bazaar to, what Tim Pasteur is doing with the ID to what, Professor Amin Gun-Sarir, has with, being able to show, proof of work, your proof of your, contract and things like that. On the blockchain. So there are different avenues and I really want to be involved in that. I mean, I think I've been a pioneer in Bitcoin, so I want to, at least the second wave. So I'd like to continue on that. While everyone was talking about the Bitcoin and as a currency back in 2011 on Free Talk Live, I was talking about the wonder of the blockchain and how that was really going to save me because I was going to be able to have contracts and agreements with people outside of the legal system and copyrights and things so that my kids who didn't have social security numbers could also show, proof of their creations and inventions and things like that. So I'd really, really, really like to do that. I am willing to make a lot less money, assuming I make any money, right? but we plan for as if we're going to, right? So if I were to make any money, I would be willing to take, a hundredth of what I would have made mainstream just so that I can be paid in Bitcoin and for content that, people who I respect, that they are entertained. Cause it's entertainment. I'm not Christoph Atlas. It's, doing security for blockchain.info. I'm not Andreas going around and, preaching Bitcoin all over the world. I'm not Roger Ver, investing, thousands and thousands and tens and tens and tens of thousands of Bitcoin into both the businesses and liberty activism and things like that. Like, so where can I contribute? I think is through storytelling is one way. And, and also like practicing what I preach. I keep telling people, use the blockchain, use Bitcoin. Well,
Right.
I better do it, right?
Yeah.
So.
You said the word pioneer, and I think that's a great thing. I mean, like you said, you need someone to hold your hand. You don't know what all the best ideas are. But, I think it's great to just try whatever, try it, try to publish it on the blockchain. If you make less money, you make less money. Just see what happens and have some fun with it and be a pioneer. Learn what things are like out on the frontier. So I think that's awesome.
The one thing though is like, I don't know, if you guys are making any money through donations and stuff for what you're doing or, if you're selling. Yeah.
Give us money.
If we do, Tim doesn't get any of it.
Only if it's their change tip.
Well, so, this might sound silly, but I think the, panel that I moderated, I didn't just moderate it. I put it together. In Vegas with Edmund Moy,
Yeah, we got to talk about this.
Swiss Mint, and Joseph von Perling, who he was he has a law degree. He has a computer science degree as well as a psychology degree. He raises alpaca and sold alpaca socks for Bitcoin. One of the first things that you could buy for Bitcoin.
Good stuff.
Yes. So he's been involved since the very, very, very beginning. And then Trace Mayer and Nick Szabo and Dr. Craig Wright. Now, this was Nick Szabo's first interview or conference ever for Bitcoin.
Oh man.
And and he came as a favor to me, as did Joseph, as did Edmund, as did Dr. Wright. Trace goes where he can have a camera on him, but he was, he was a good person to have on the panel too. Do you know, so for that, it ended up getting really crazy because Andy Greenberg and from Wired Magazine and then the dude from Gizmodo, they doxed Craig Wright as Satoshi.
Right.
And,
oh yeah, big thing.
Right. So my video, which I admitted I have had paralyzing stage fright since I was 17. I can't see, I lose my vision and so I can't perform. I can't talk. I just can't.
I mean, you got the whole internet watching you right now. So, I mean.
No, cause
it's just everyone's going to listen to this.
No, cause I'm hidden on the screen.
This is going to be our best episode yet. Millions of listeners.
Behind that digital wall.
So it was just, so I decided that, I'm really big on you have to, do something that like scares you often to stay youthful and stay edgy and, alive. And it was just time for me to, step onto a stage or whatever. Cause it was actually holding me back from a lot of things I was wanting to do, both perform like music and theater. And it was just holding me back from a lot. So I gathered up these guys who are like they're kind of my cheerleaders, in a way, and I'm theirs too, but we're all sort of around the same age and, have been around the block a few times and are liberty minded. And I thought that they would be really interesting to put together. And the topic that I had come up with was, the history and future of money. But there were lots of people that have been doing conferences and panels and they're tech oriented or everyone's a suit, and the conference panels had really changed over the last couple of years and gotten away from what I consider to be the foundation of Bitcoin, which is definitely cypherpunk crypto anarchy, So the audience was amiable to this panel, the people that were going to be there. And, so it was good to put together and it only received, I was really disappointed. It only received about 1,400 views. And I thought, gosh, that's a lot, but not when you consider that this was Nick Szabo's first conference and first time. People didn't even know what he looked like. There wasn't even a photo of him online. No one knew what he looked like. And everyone for so long has thought that he was Satoshi. So I was thinking that there would be a lot more. And the man, who, created the conference, Steven, he's a really nice guy. And he was sweet enough to post the video. First I posted it. He first let me post it on, Roger Vere's, Bitcoin.com site because he was having a contest for whoever submitted the best piece could win 4 Bitcoin. And I'm like, oh, I'm totally going to win this. Wait until you see what I'm bringing. And, no, I didn't even get a view on his, on Bitcoin.com. No comments, no views. And, And then, Stephen posted one of my, a Bitcoin address for me, and I received 130-cent tip. And then,
aren't those just annoying?
30 cents, Tim. Yeah. Isn't that great?
See, that's exactly what I'm talking about. Yeah.
and then I get a phone call from, the dude from Gizmodo, and then from Andy Greenberg, then the guy from Gizmodo, and wanting to talk to me about my relationship with, Craig Wright. And I was like, oh God, here we go. And I said to Andy, I was like, hey, I respect you, and I, appreciated, that you told, as much of the story as you did about Ross and Silk Road, because no one was telling that story in mainstream media. And, I got to tell you though, that you're barking barking up the wrong tree. Right. And he goes, what do you mean? He goes, I just want to talk to you about, Dr. Wright's assertions about having one of the largest supercomputers in the world, as well as how, that, Bitcoin is Turing script complete. And I said, really? You want to talk to me about my relationship with Craig Wright because of that? And you'd like me to secure an interview with him for you? I said, I don't believe you. I think that what you are going to try to do is dox him as Satoshi. And I'm going to advise you against that, because you're going to get spanked. And also but because, you probably have been working on this for a while, I'm willing to offer you some information about the Silk Road case that nobody knows. And that could be, that's really interesting and could be very helpful. What you're proposing, I'm sure, is to out him as Satoshi, which, whether it's true or not, is going to damage his life and his family's life.
Oh, yeah.
He's married. He has 3 children. Do not do that. And he said verbatim, I would never do that. I've never once even considered who Satoshi might be. He wants to remain anonymous, and I respect that. Fuck, liar. Liar. So then I get a DM from the dude from Gizmodo, and he was much more, he's like, what do you have to, what's your relationship with Craig Wright? Da, da, da. And then it was, what do you think about, I'm going to be releasing an article tomorrow about him being Satoshi Nakamoto. What do you think about that? I'm like, I think you're an asshole.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
Because it doesn't matter if, it's not supposed to matter who Satoshi is. That's why it's anonymous, and why everyone thinks Satoshi's a man is just so, like, that just cracks me up. Or, and the way, and a Western man too. It's like, just the hubris. It's just that people think they're entitled to know. It's just nauseating to me. But to realize it's like, Satoshi can't come out because Satoshi will be like on number 1 on the most wanted list, right?
Right. Oh, I gotta say, I mean, we briefly mentioned this topic before we started recording, and I'm glad you don't want to argue that he was Satoshi and everything, because we did a whole episode about him probably not being Satoshi, and I hate disagreeing with people, so it's a good thing you're on this side. But even more importantly, though, like you said,
on what side?
Anxiety up.
Whoa, on what side?
Well, I was gonna say the side of him probably not being Satoshi, but I was also gonna say, even more importantly, it doesn't matter. Don't worry about it. Don't ruin anybody's life. Don't send a million reporters to his door and everything.
Side. Yeah, but no one in the Bitcoin space is saying that matters, I don't think. No,
I mean, some people say it matters, but they're idiots.
Like a huge group. You're not going to be able to stop the media from trying to figure it out, because it's a secret. It's something they're not supposed to know. So obviously they're probably going to keep doing it over and over and over again, because it's something they can use to stir up.
Yeah, they don't want to find him. They don't want to find him for sure, because they want to keep probably finding him and putting out big stories.
Yeah, but look what they did to Dorian
I
Nakamoto,
know.
as well as Hal
yeah.
Finney. I mean, Fran Finney still gets like people threatening her and her son Jason, and of course, they think that people have thought that Hal had a bunch of Bitcoin, and it's really no good deed goes unpunished, right?
Oh yeah.
So regarding though whether or not someone is or isn't Satoshi, if I were Satoshi, what I would, and I was worried that something about myself had been leaked and would therefore cause people to be able to, out me. I would make it so that I was outed, and I would provide enough information so that it could be disproved. Because once it's been disproved, no one's ever going to accuse me of it again, are they?
Right.
Well, now we are. So our next story is
Yeah.
Bitcoin Belle
M7
is actually
M7 is Satoshi. There we go.
I've already told everyone that.
Go dox her, go storm her house, even though she's homeless.
She.
There we go.
everybody
Satoshi.
attacked the dating profile.
Yeah.
No, but you're saying like if Craig were Satoshi and he thought that people were going to out him, best thing he could do is doctor things so that once he was outed, there would be people like Greg Maxwell to say, no, he's not, and here's the evidence.
Right.
I mean, so I don't think that anyone, even if, some people have said, well, if Satoshi, reveals his, uses his private key from his, PGP. No, that doesn't even prove that someone is. And also, he could say, well, if he sent some Bitcoin from one of his early, mining wallets or mining addresses. Well, I mean, he could have been rubber hosed, and had that information tortured out of him.
Well,
so
there's so many possibilities. You're right.
Yeah, and I think to get hung up on who Satoshi might be rather than the elegance of the white paper and how Satoshi is going to fucking save us. Because look at what is happening with the worldwide economic scene. And now we're looking at Donald Trump and Bernie Sanders as being the presidential candidates.
Yeah.
One wants to take everyone's money to give it to everyone else. And the other one has been broke more times than most people will, he's wrecked more businesses than most people will ever have in their lives, kind of thing, and
Right.
he brags that he was only given $1 million, which he turned into 10 billion. Yeah, on paper, but it doesn't mean squat when you owe 20 billion, asshole. Shut up.
There you go.
Buffoon. And people fall for that, and they're like, he's going to make America great again.
Oh, I know. It shocks me when people they get all emotional about him, and I don't know, whatever. I don't want to talk about
People
it.
do that with everything, Daniel. That's exactly what happened with Obama. He's just the other side
Tim,
of it now.
they get
It just
emotional
swings
about
back.
me. Tim, they get emotional about me.
No,
but
they
that's only
don't.
because I'm
They're, like, listening to
actually
his
an
voice.
amazing person. So it's okay if they do that.
I mean, you're Dan Brown. You're
Hey,
Exactly.
Daniel is speaking to us again. I love his raps. I can't wait for his
Oh,
strange
Tim, you
reading of
can't.
Bitcoin.
Get
Tim,
with the raps. When has that happened, last?
Hey, I
It's
did
not
it like
that
a month or
common
so
of a thing.
ago.
Wait, you did?
I know, I did.
Without permission?
I
No,
was
he
I was
doesn't ask us, John.
I was a little tipsy maybe when I was editing, and I'm like, yeah, let's put the rap in. Why not? And so there you go, Tim. You mentioned it, so it's got to be here. It's coming up in a few minutes. So sorry, Tim.
Why are you apologizing to me? Apologize to her.
Yeah, sorry.
She doesn't want
Michelle.
to be associated with
Yeah,
that.
No, I hope that you do a rap. I think it'd be great. I love it.
All right. Well, it's coming up. I do think we're coming
Wait,
up on an hour.
John, you do music.
Yeah,
I do.
It's his beat. He wrote the beat
I
for me.
remember now. I'm sorry. I forgot that. I'm sorry. I forgot that. I do remember we had a conversation about music, and yes. Okay, great. I'm sorry. I'm 48. Brain starts to go.
He wrote the beat for me, and I freestyled.
I mean, don't
it,
say things like that, Daniel. I don't want people to know that I was involved in any way.
Oh, goodness.
The hours you put into that beat.
Or like 5 minutes.
We are at right about an hour, so I think we're about ready to call it. I want to thank you a ton, Michele, for joining us. It's been an awesome hour. Lots of great stuff.
Can I mention one thing?
Yeah, hey, I was just about to say, anything else you want to share? This is your chance.
Okay.
Anything at all, it's yours.
Okay. So, I posted a letter on, michele7.com today. It's MICHELESEVEN.com.
Oh, yeah.
And that's a blog that I've had for a while that I really haven't, I haven't posted anything for like 8 months on there or something, but I posted a letter that I wrote to, a judge in New Jersey who's going to be hearing my appeal on three charges, the first of which was using a cell phone device while operating a motor vehicle. And then there was one for registration and insurance because I didn't have the right size card.
Yeah.
I had both the registered vehicle and insurance, but I didn't have the right size card. So those 3 tickets alone, before I'd taken any time, were $661. I got a second cell phone violation a couple months ago, and I actually wasn't using the cell phone for a voice or text call either. I was listening. You're not allowed in New Jersey to be looking at your phone. So because I'd already, gone to court once, I made sure that I was aware of the law. So I was actually going to buy Bitcoin through someone that I had met up, was going to meet up from local Bitcoins, and I didn't know what where the street was or whatever, and so I was listening to my GPS give me the directions rather than looking at my phone, because then you're taking your eyes off the road. And I tried to point that out to the cop, and he said he didn't care. So I found out, when I went to court for that if I'm found guilty of that charge and the first one is not dismissed, then it's $600.
Oh, man.
Just for that one ticket. A third violation, I lose my license.
Oh, dang.
I've never had a speeding ticket. I've never been in a car accident where I've been at fault, not even with a parked vehicle, nothing. And I've been driving since I was 13, and so the idea that I would lose my license over using essentially, in my case, it was a camera and then an audio map, right? So anyway, I did, so if people want to, take a look at the letter, I would really like support. I hate to ask, I don't think I've really ever asked for money. I don't think, but I do need some help if because if I'm living on $500 USD a month, I don't have money to go up.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, put your budget up a little bit.
Yeah, I won't pay fines. I sit in jail for those, and at $50 a day, which is what I've done before, but I'm hoping that I win.
Yeah.
But in any case, I can stay if I drive my truck, I can sleep in my truck when I go up there. But I really am committed to bartering and trading beyond the $500. So, and I'm not gonna compromise that for this.
Yeah.
I might for a medical emergency, but not.
Yeah, I did. I read that article or the letter to the judge, and yeah, we were kind of hoping to get into it a little bit more, but yeah, it's a great letter, and the biggest thing is that you were the first time I think you were keeping an eye on the cops because he was like parked in the middle of the road or something, and yeah, I hope people do check it out at michele7.com and
yeah,
just at the very least just see what it's all about. and maybe.
And if it resonates with people, I mean, I know that, there's so many people that say, I just don't have time. That's great, Michelle, you do that, but I don't have time to go to court. I don't have time to deal with it. Okay. So I am doing this. So $75 and go, yay. She's, the cost of what it costs to get a grande latte at Starbucks or something, I mean, that would be awesome. That would be,
right.
That would be awesome. And that's a way to get involved. And when you pay and when you invest financially in something, then you also invest psychologically and emotionally, and I will get up there on my own, whether anyone donates, but I really want people to pay attention because this is happening to you.
Oh yeah. Yeah, I agree.
I can disappear. I can disappear anytime I want to and I can go, I'm fine. But no, I stick around because people need to be made aware and they need what, and when you do, it's like Neo, when you wake up, it's painful. And oftentimes people wake up from when they really realize how bad things are. They're scared and they're unsure about, what do I do next kind of thing. And so that's what I'm committed to doing.
A couple months ago, I had some fun. I got out of a speeding ticket because the cop miswrote some of the numbers and the math didn't really work out. And
good for you.
Yeah, it was tons of fun. And I think I know it's a little higher stakes for you when you're living on so little, but in general, fighting a ticket is a cheap, because even if you lose, it's not deadly. And it's a good way to learn what the system's like, to learn how they're screwing you over, and to at least try to get around that and to fight it and stuff like that. So I'm all for that. Well,
the judge collected $14,000 or charged people. I don't, whether or not, I'm sure they all got paid because you get your wages garnished and they come arrest you and you go to debtor's prison actually, for fines, that are, assigned by the state. But $14,000 was collected between about 9:00 in the morning and noon that day.
Wow.
And most of those were for cell phone charges, including one man who was an Hispanic man who barely spoke English. To try him was far more expensive because they had to bring in an interpreter and things like that. But it was his first offense, and he was, thanking the judge for not deporting him.
Oh man.
So because he was illegal. Which, so the judge didn't even do his job there because he's supposed to deport him or whatever. But, the guy's supposed to go to jail and then get deported, of course, from what I understand. And that's what happened to my husband. So I think that's what they still do. But, he was on his bicycle, but he was in traffic. It wasn't even a motorized vehicle.
Yeah. Huh.
But he didn't know the law and he didn't have a lawyer. He just had an interpreter and they didn't advise him of the law. And the judge is so nice and he smiles at them and everything. And, certainly everyone in the courtroom who was present while I got up and had my trial, because there were still people doing their thing. But, they were so shocked and surprised that this man was so rude and raised his voice and told me to shut up, and that if I didn't stop talking, that he would fine me $200, hold me in contempt, and put me in jail. While I was on the stand, supposedly giving my, testimony. It's like, well, okay. And then he's like, answer the question. You told me to stop talking. You told me to shut up. Don't be, It's like, oh my God. And he even admitted, he said, in 30 years, I've never once heard of a person using a camera to take a photograph of a cop or police officer for the purpose of, what did he say? For the purpose of, which it just goes to show how old he is. He said, I've got to tell you this. This is the first time I've been doing this for over 30 years. The first time in my life where anyone took a picture of an officer and say you used your cell phone or your camera to take a picture of him. He doesn't even speak English correctly. And you used that because you wanted to show that he was doing something unsafe at the time of the stop. Really, dude? You've never heard of Cop Blog or Cop Watch, or you've never been on YouTube to see all of the videos of people that they're, the videos people are taking of cops to show. I mean, he's ancient. He's archaic. He's rude. He wears a dress. You know.
There you go. There you go. Well, yeah.
So anyway, I want people to get involved. And if
Yep.
if you're not interested in my case, get involved in something. Like if you're going to be in the system and have the goons extort money from you and force you to, behave this way under this circumstance, then there are a few ways in which you can hold on to your dignity and maintain your humanity by resisting. You have to resist. You have to say no.
Yeah, I agree. I hope people, like I said, at the very least, just learn what this stuff is about. That's at Michele7.com. It's 1L and the word 7. But hey, Michele, where else can people find you? Where are you on Twitter? I don't know if you want to share an email or anything else at all. What should people be looking for?
Twitter right now is good. I'm going to, and I'll announce it or something, but I haven't decided to what extent I'm going to blog. I'm going to write about my adventures because I'm going all over. I mean, and I'm learning all these amazing crafts, like I'm going to another place where I'm going to learn how to do stained glass so I can put a stained glass on my trailer. And then I'm going skydiving and I'm doing these really awesome, fun things. And I'm doing them all by trading and bartering. And so that's really that's supposed to give people hope, and kind of what encouraged me to do that was, while I was in New Jersey, I was doing, I traded, watching Broadway plays, which I really like theater. But I saw 30 shows, in exchange for writing Broadway reviews. And had I paid for the seats that I had been given, it would have been, I would have had to fork out like $7,000. So there's no way that I could have afforded, that living on $3,500 a month.
Right.
So, that is what really excited me and thought, you know what? I can trade and barter more than just this. I'm going to do this. And I'm prepared to be hungry and I'm prepared to, poop in a 5-gallon paint can. And, I prefer bidets that air dry my butt and everything, but that's just not where my life's at right now. Maybe it can someday, but it's not now. So, so trading and bartering and getting around and,
yeah.
Yeah.
I hope everyone keeps an eye out for that. It's Bitcoin Belle on Twitter, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
Oh, I know what I was saying. I smoked too much pot tonight. Sorry. I lost my train of thought. So I don't know whether I'm going to use Michele7.com or whether or not I'm going to use another website, but I definitely want to share the story with people and then, and be able to, teach people, about this. So people are going to get to the end of the rope where, the largest demographic of people that are committing suicide in the United States right now was formerly teenagers and then it was military and now it's white 40-year-old men. That's when you guys are supposed to be roar, having your second roar, and they're leaving families behind and everything because they're, financially destitute and their dreams are collapsing around them and they don't see any hope for themselves or for their children or for their lives. And I want to share that with people. At the same time, the tall grass gets mowed, how to be a pioneer, but without being killed by, whatever forces you're coming up against, as you're exploring and pushing. I'm really not interested in sacrificing myself or being a martyr for liberty. I'm really not. So I don't really know that I want, I don't think that I'll necessarily blog about it in real time, but maybe a month behind or something like that so that I can still be private a little bit. But yeah, I want people to tune in. It'll be fun and make fun of me and laugh at me. And I'm certainly going to be laughing and making fun of myself. So.
All right. Yeah. Hey guys, like I said, keep an eye on that. Get out there and, see what she's up to and you have some fun because she'll be having some fun, I guess. So
Yes, and if you have something that you think I have to offer, and you have something to offer, like invite me. I don't know. I'm a really good cook.
All right.
So yeah, I like to trade. So that'd be awesome.
Awesome. Yeah, real awesome. Hey, Michele, thanks so much for joining us today. It's been a lot of fun, learning a lot, and I hope we have you back sometime, and hopefully it's not a whole year. But yeah, thanks for being here.
And Tim and John, it was really nice talking at you.
Yes, thank you.
Just didn't shut up, did I?
We kind of just let you go.
Yeah.
It works better that way.
I know.
Hey, we need a week off sometimes. It's all good.
It helps whenever the
Although I
guests-
guess this is like my third week off.
Money. I be rolling with Satoshi. What you gonna doshi? All this money that I got make me richy. I got Bitcoin. I'm so rich. Money. I'm so rich. Money. I'm so rich. I got Bitcoin. Money.
We didn't give advice, Daniel.